Welcome to my painting tutorial, everybody. I'm Erin. Hello, hello. There's like a lot of cameras right now because of all the things I had to reset up. Thank you again for your patience. We are here. We're ready to teach. So the idea behind tonight, most of you I think have been, but if anyone's brand new today, the idea is that I'll be teaching you step by step how to paint the painting beside me. It is, as usual, nameless, so if you'd like to give me a suggestion for a name, that would be awesome. You can see it's just like a nice fall-inspired painting. There's some nice birch trees in the background. We got a window. We got a beautiful pie. Who doesn't love pie? Choose your favorite pie flavor, make it that flavor, whatever you want. And I'll teach it to you step by step. So you can use whatever materials you have at home. I suggest using probably 5 different paint colors first of all. That's usually what I use. I use white, black, red, yellow, and phthalo blue. I'll be using all 5 of those today. Let me just triple check that. Scratch phthalo blue, excuse me, we're not using blue. Sorry, I haven't had time to think about this with all the tech issues. We're just using the 4, no phthalo blue today. Sorry, Charlene, I know I told you all 5 earlier. So red, yellow, white, and black. In terms of the brushes, I use 3 different ones. We've got a large flat brush, got a medium round brush, and we've got a small round brush. So I'll be using all 3 of those. And then otherwise, I would recommend a cup of paint water close by. Maybe like a towel or paper towel is a good one. And if you have a nice apron, that would work. Shout out Terry for the apron. Thank you again, as always, as always. If you'd like a clear digital version of the painting, that is on my Instagram page, instagram.com/erinbunpaints. If you're on Facebook, you can check out the Facebook banner. The photo is also featured in there as well. The painting. We already got some suggestions for titles. I love you. Keep throwing those title suggestions in the chat. I think I've gone over pretty much all the basics here, so we'll start with our cheers and then we can actually get to painting. Alright guys, so let's begin. So I'm going to swap this out as usual, so I will bring this up and down as I go. There goes that lighting there. Alright, and we're going to start. So what I'm going to start with is actually the birch trees. So I'm not worried too much about the actual window for now. Acrylic paint is great because we can go on top of it. We can add lots of layers, kind of one layer after another after another. So what I'm going to do for now is just kind of focus on the birch trees. We don't need to worry about making the actual window. If you want to kind of move them to where you want the window to be, if maybe you want the window to be more centered or smaller or something, you're welcome to do that. But for the most part, I'm just going to be painting, pretending that we're not doing a window for now, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of just concentrating on the birch trees, and then we'll use the window to frame it all up later. Catch my drift? Framing? Ahaha. Windows? Ahaha. Okay. So we're going to use a large flat brush to start. You can dip it in your paint water. Oh, and I bring the volcano plate over right to my lap because it's so dang heavy. Dab on your towel or paper towel, and we're going to mix a light gray to begin with. A light gray is the nice background here for the birch trees, so just a nice light gray to begin. So lots of white, a little bit of black. You don't have white, Usha. You might have to alter a little bit because there is lots of white for the birch trees and stuff. So you might need to maybe choose like a yellow or something a little different. Which brush am I using? The large flat brush. It's a number 12 in case you're wondering. So lots of white, little bit of black. Mixing that together. And we're just going to start by going up and down with that very, very light gray. I even want to lighten that up more, so I'm grabbing some more white and just stroking up and down. The reason we're using a gray is because we want the birch trees to pop off of something, right? So you could use really a different color if you wanted a light blue, for example, or like a nice light yellow, as long as it's not white, because the white's going to, of course, drown out the birch trees. So as I said before, I'm just kind of roughly filling in the whole background. You don't need to go all the way to every edge and make it super, super clean, because I know that my window is going to kind of go all the way around the border here. So you can see I'm just kind of roughly putting it along the side. I'm not worried about a clean edge here, but I'm just going to try and fill up most of the space. So lots of white, a little bit of black, up and down. Hello, Angeline from the Philippines. Welcome in. Cheers, mine is water as well. Good to know, Pam. Water gang unite. Kit Kat, I'll tell you a secret. I leave all the bottles open. You know why? It's because I like the paint on the cap to dry and then I peel it off. The jugs are so big that it never dries it out. Faye from Texas, welcome in. Zuzu, welcome in as well. If either of you have questions, let me know. I personally like a streaky background, just so everybody knows. It's really whatever you want. It's a little bit streaky here. So if you want it even more streaky, you could kind of switch between adding a little extra white or a little extra black to your gray and stroking up and down. Otherwise, if you want a more consistent color, you're just going to consistently mix a very similar shade and just make sure that you're blending out those streaks by swiping up and down a little more often. You can see I'm just stroking up and down a lot, like going all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. That just helps smooth everything out. It'll keep the streakiness, but it'll just kind of keep a consistent flow going all the way up, all the way down without having any brush strokes kind of ending halfway. Okay, so that's about as much as I need to cover. So just to point out one more time, the borders I'm not too worried about. So you can see it looks very rough down here, very rough on the sides here, on the top, and that's because once again we're just going to be framing the whole thing anyway, so we don't need to worry about that quite yet. We will be going into red next to actually frame it, so you'll find out very quickly if you need a little bit more gray or not. We are the same, Kit Kat. No pie? Not yet, Kill Toy. We'll put it back in, don't worry. Canvas is your plate for the background. Oh, canvas is your palette. Oh, I see, I see. Yeah, you could do that, Krithi, and anyone else. If you don't have an actual plate or a palette, you can just kind of use the canvas as a palette and mix on top if that's what you meant. It's perfectly fine. Great. Oh my gosh. We good now, like as good as we can be, I guess. Just never a great start when it takes half an hour to figure it out, but we're here. We did it. So I'll give another minute or two just in case, just because I know that was a pretty big area to cover. Gives a little bit of a break as well. I can check in on everybody, make sure we're all good. Mostly me though. I'm sure you're all fine. It's just me. Oh man. So for anyone wondering, there is not a tutorial Sunday. I was saying this last week. I have a few Sundays in a row where I have some private painting parties booked, so I don't want to overbook myself and be rushing from thing to thing. So you won't see me on Sunday. On Friday, I will be having a tutorial. I do not have the event posted yet. I actually have a painting, but I'm thinking I'm going to save it actually. I made it this week, but I think it might be just a little better for like a week or two from now. Not saying why, just saying. So I'll be making a painting for Friday, In the next day or two, probably. So if anyone has any topic suggestions they've been waiting for, they know have been written down for a while, I'm totally open to hear it. Because I might be painting it in the next day or two and then posting it. So just so you know, just so you know. Yeah, Christy, it's always nice seeing you. It's true. Maybe she'll come out, no promises. Baby Ross, oh. 12:30 p.m. Meet me there. Please allow me to let this out. Shaylin, you didn't miss much. It's okay. I actually started quite late due to tech issues, so you've really only missed the light gray so far. So lots of white, tiny bit of black, and we're just covering most of the canvas with it. I say most because you can be a little messier around the edges, but otherwise I've got the whole center filled up. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're going to be quicker, Archana. You're on 9x12, definitely. I'll give another half minute just to be sure, and then we'll move right along here. Elizabeth, welcome in from the Philippines as well. Philippines audience is growing. This is very exciting. There's quite a few of you now consistently. Welcome in. Want to paint a sunset theme with a silhouette of horses. Ooh, that's fun, Faye. Yeah, horses are a good one. So I will let you know, I've been thinking of doing another animal, and I just couldn't really decide on the animal. So horses, unicorns, I feel like has been another one that's been requested a lot. So, nice idea. Flower tree using a palette knife. Ooh, that would be a fun one. Archana. Might need a little more planning just so everyone can get their knives, palette knives ready, or just like materials for it, but that's a great idea, doing some sort of a palette knife technique. I love that. I've been meaning to do that personally anyway. A golf course, says Mary. That's a good one too. Now that we're out of summer, it's like we missed the golf course. Yeah, just prepare for it tonight. Oh, man. James coming in with the golf jokes. A fancy narwhal. Ooh. I do, Charlene, yes. I have a whole list. I'm just curious if anyone has ones that they've been waiting for, or like popular ones that they know I haven't done yet. That thing, Dre, from earlier. A unicorn, okay. No, Todd. How do you do the silhouette? Just using black paint and just lots of steps in terms of like the shape of the horse or whatever we're doing. Unicorns. All right, we got some unicorn and horse suggestions. I'll keep thinking. Beach with palm tree, Archana. Maybe you'll get that in a couple weeks. Maybe you guessed the theme of the painting that I just did. And we'll see. Here's why I want to save it, because summer like just ended, and I feel like the beach palm tree might be more appreciated in a couple weeks. So, polar bear. That abomination, oh dear. Knife is covered in crimson, I swear. Yeah, okay. Elysian crimson. Oh yes, the Candyland. Yes, Krithi, that was such a good idea too. An elephant says, ooh, an elephant. Oh, lots of beautiful ideas. Thank you. I will start to think about it. And again, that should be in the next day or two that I get that done. I want to get that done soon, so we'll see. All right, let's go back to the painting with a nice big white blob on it now. I was aggressively painting there, and you can see a little bit slipped. Oopsie, oopsie. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start framing the area with some red. So this isn't going to define the final kind of frame, because what you can do is use the red to either frame out around the frame, so you can kind of choose the very outside of the frame, or you can use the red to kind of come in a little bit extra and frame that way, and then we can put the frame on top of the red. Hopefully that's making sense. So as long as you use the red to go anywhere in between the frame, so either on the outside edge of the frame or the inside or somewhere in the middle, then you'll have all that room to work the actual frame of the window in, okay? So it's not like anything super important right now. You want to get it roughly the size you want, but you still will be able to move the frame kind of in and out or up and down here, for example. Minimally, but still enough that you can kind of change it up, right? Okay, so I'm going to keep using that large flat brush, so I would recommend washing it off whenever you're ready. That's a nice peel. Just putting it out there. And we're using the large flat brush, as I said, wash it off, and then we can mix red and a little bit of black. So you can, of course, change this wall color to whatever you want. I just kind of liked the dark red to match with the nice red in the outside here, and just kind of like a nice warm vibe inside. But if you're feeling a different wall color today, you're welcome to do a different wall color. So again, I'm using lots of red with a little bit of black. So I'm making like a maroon, a mauve, lots of different names to call this one. An Oktoberfest painting, Anna? Is that what you're saying? Horse and sunset, says Darcy. Man, lots of horses and unicorns. Sunsets, cool. Welcome in Myrna from Puerto Rico. Wow, cool. A koala. You like maybe the sloth that we did? That was pretty similar. A koala. Okay, I'll keep that one in mind too. So whenever you have your color ready, again, I'm using the dark red, lots of red, a little bit of black. We can just start to loosely outline the frame. So I chose my frame, honestly, to be a little off-center. It may kind of look like an error, but honestly, I wanted it that way. I didn't want it to be completely center. If you're someone who likes it very centered, then of course change it to your way. But what I'm doing is I'm just doing a thin strip of red on the left, and I'll do a thicker one on the right, personally. It's all up to you. And I shouldn't say red, I should say dark red. I am using a nice dark red. Again, lots of red, a little bit of black. It's very like regal, velvety color. Thin strip on the top. Again, if this line is a little shaky, that's okay, because we're going to be putting a frame right on top of it anyway. This is just to cover our bases with the wall. Correct, Darcy, yes, just a teeny bit of black in the red. Teeny, teeny bit. Horses and unicorns. Oh my goodness. Sparkle, sparkle. And then on this side, you can see I'm leaving a larger strip of red because I wanted to offset the window. So again, if you'd rather center it, leave the same width of red strips there. I'm using a little bit more, a little bit less. Yes, I'm using the large brush as well. Brush type is always pretty much up to you. That was Paramita asking. Yeah, it's pretty much always up to you. It's very personal preference. I just use recommendations for like the amount of area we're covering. So because we're covering a larger area, I usually use a larger brush. If it's a smaller area, I'll start to go down to medium, and then teeny tiny details, it's usually a small brush. A crane would be cool, Angela. I know we had flamingo suggestions, crane, all of those things. Corns. We did that field of wheat. Borderline corn, borderline. And I'm going all the way to the bottom. I just want to note that even though we're going to have a ledge going across the window, we are bringing this red all the way to the bottom just to be safe. And then one other thing you can do just to be very safe, again, just for drying time reasons, you can really smooth out the red, just like I did with the gray. I was going up and down just to really make sure everything was nice and even. There's no ridges anywhere. Same thing with the red. You can just go up and down, evens everything out. It also helps keep a consistent color. See that stroke there? If I were to keep going up and down, I can get that a little bit more blended in. Maybe a little more paint. Ooh, a dragon, says Davina. Yes, a dragon was actually requested. I can't forget about that one. So again, a little shaky here, not worried about it for now. So I'll give you a minute or two more, and then we're actually going to go back to the gray, which should be pretty dry by now, but if not, you still have a minute or two, and we'll be putting the birch trees on there. Birch trees are fun. I love doing these little birch trees. They're a lot of fun. Doing all the nice shading and everything. Donna, sorry I missed the color red. It's a mix? Yes, it's a mix. So lots of red, little bit of black. If you like the kind of mauve, maroon kind of color, then yes, lots of red, teeny bit of black. Oh, corns like unicorns, perhaps, not the actual corns. Ooh. But yeah, Donna, always remember too, you can use whatever color you like for the wall as well. So one more quick minute. I guess if you are ready, you can get your medium round brush ready. We'll be using that next. It is cool. Is that on your Discord or his, James? It's been a little quiet, Allie, so it might be that. Both platforms. A Phoenix, of course. Phoenix Rising requests a Phoenix. That makes sense. That would be a cool one, though. That'd be unique for sure. Donna's ready. Thank you, Donna. All right, so let's. I'll talk about the birch trees a bit, then we can paint them. So birch trees, of course, they start out just plain white, right? And then we're going to stack on these different colors. We have some black as the birch tree markings. And then one of my favorite parts was adding in the gray. I added in this kind of medium tone of gray just on the right-hand sides to give it a little more texture, but also to give it a little bit of shading as well. So that'll come a little later. For now, what we're doing is we're just doing the white birch trees, just plain white. So I'm going to be using the medium round brush. Again, the gray should be dry. If it's maybe a little bit sticky here and there, it shouldn't be a big deal. You can grab a nice big blob of white. And we're going to start just putting on some large brush strokes, some large wide brush strokes. So something you can do is change up the width a little bit as you go. You can make some wider birch trees and thinner ones. You can also change where they land on the ground here. So if they're maybe thinner, you might have them a little further away and that therefore they're a little bit higher up the canvas. And if they're a little bit wider, they're probably going to be closer to us and therefore a little further down the canvas, right? So I'm going to go from here just to start and do a nice thin one. Trying to keep it as straight as possible. It's a little shaky, that's okay. So that's like an example of a nice thin one. It's like a finger width-ish, maybe two. And I'll do a nice thick one right beside it so we can see a comparison. So again, because it's thicker, I'm going to bring it all the way down because in theory, if it's larger or wider, it's probably going to be closer to us. Closer to us means it's going to come further down on the ground. Of course, if you want to bring all of them all the way to the ground, that would be okay too, because we will be stacking on some red leaves later on. So I mean, you can use those to cover up bottoms of trees as you need. And then you can see I am bringing them all the way up to the top. I'm trying my best to make them meet the red here. Again, there will be a frame here, so if it's not perfect, that's okay. The frame will help cover up any errors or any inconsistencies there. Great, I think you're right. There it goes, yes. A wisdom tree, what is that? Krithi, I want to do a like a tree of life type thing. Is that what you mean? The nice kind of roundness of it? Excited, I want to paint birch trees on my wall around my clock stove. Ooh, that would be fun, Bear. Thank you, Kathleen. I'm glad you like it. Very relaxing music today. So thank you so much. And hello, Jackie from Florida. If you have any questions, let me know. So I'm just going to keep adding birch trees everywhere. You don't need to follow the exact pattern I'm doing. I'm trying my best to keep similar to what I have down here. But in the end, you're truly just filling up the whole space with lots of vertical lines up and down, either thin or thick. And I am at this point trying my best to get some nice consistent and straight lines all the way down. So really take your time going back and forth, kind of cleaning up your edges a little bit, grabbing a little more paint, and just going up and down. They are. Yes. Oh, okay, Krithi. Okay, so I might be doing that soon. That would actually be a good idea for the next painting. I know I want to do an animal, but I now have a couple ideas, which is good. Nafisa, welcome in as well. Hello to you too. So again, you can see I'm trying to change the widths, the heights here in terms of where the trees are landing. And I'm working on some fall paintings as well. I know a lot of you were looking forward to all the beautiful fall paintings, the Halloweeny paintings, all of that good stuff. Just want to try my best to disperse them a little bit, you know? I don't want anyone getting too sick of fall too quickly. So just so everyone knows, there's lots more coming. Got lots of beautiful inspiration for those photos wise. Everyone's been messaging me things, so thank you to those who have been doing that. Ooh, yum, Brittany. Did you already say what kind they are? Maybe I missed it. So again, a little bump there, not too worried about it. My frame will cover that. Okay, that's another good thick one. I think I need a few more thin ones, so I'm going to do a couple small thin ones that go a little higher up here. I wonder if I can fit one more. Maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's so many more. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, there's like 7 there. Okay. I'll do one more on the very, very right hand side. Hugging the side. There we go, so that's going to be hidden. So of course mine could be a little straighter. It's a little hard to paint from the side sometimes, but they're there. So I'll give everybody, again, another minute or two here. Do we wait for paint to dry before applying layers? So Anam, are you asking about the like black and gray layers? If so, yes. And I mean, totally, yeah, the black, the gray background, yeah, it should be mostly dry before you apply the birch trees, yes. And Michelle, what kind of paint do I use? It's acrylic paint. It is the Start Academic Acrylic. Use the large guppy colors. Oh no! French vanilla, yum! It's too much food talk today, Ali, I agree. Burb, welcome in. Oh, happy birthday to your friend Brittany. Yeah, Michelle, if you need any more info about the paint, just let me know. So for the next step, we don't need the white to dry, just so you know. We're not going to put on the markings on the birch trees quite yet. We're going to do some leaves next, actually. We're going to fill up our space a little bit in the window. And then we'll work around it if we need to. We're going to see how the white is drying after that step. So you can watch off this brush if you are ready, but I'm giving a quick like half minute for those who are still working there. And Ju, welcome in. How have you been? Alright, so just to show you what's up next here, we're going to be doing some of this nice red leaf area here. So we've got lots of leaves on the ground, of course, because it is autumn or fall, so everything's falling on the ground, just cluttering up the ground a little bit. So that's what I was saying you can use to cover up your birch trees if you want. If you need to move any up a little bit, you can just cover up until it reaches kind of the top horizon line where you want. And then otherwise you're going to be working around your trees if they're a little bit bigger coming down. Yes. So I'm going to start actually with some just plain red. You can see there's kind of two tones going on here, maybe a couple more than two. But essentially what I did is I started with just plain red, so it's a nice bright kind of cherry red down here. And then what I did is I used a tiny bit of black, specifically to make some shadows. You might notice there are some shadows kind of casting down to the right from the trees. So that's just using a tiny bit of black and stroking it into the red to make more of this dark red color, just like our wall that we used, or that we did, I guess, rather, around the window. And then I did use dark red for some leaves up here as well. So we've got some red and some dark reds kind of all mixed together at the top here. Not all the leaves have fallen. Some of them are kind of hanging out up there. Most of them are down here though. Okay, so we'll be using a medium round brush as usual. And we're using plain red to begin with. I see your question, Nam. I'll grab you in a quick second there. I see it's about brushes. I'll tell you all about it in a minute. So we can just start to fill up the bottom here, the ground. So I'm just using the tip of my brush. And what I like to do is I like to do little brush strokes. So I like to kind of go back, forth, back, forth, like that. So you can also dab if you want to just tap like this, that'll work. I just find the taps make rounder strokes rather than these kind of leafier shapes here. They're a little bit more oval, a little bit longer like leaves, in my opinion. If you'd rather dab though for little dotties, you can totally do that. Again, it's up to you how far up you want the horizon line to be. Keep in mind a lot of this is going to be chopped off, of course, so you can bring it up a little higher. I would maybe say this is about 1/4 to 1/3 of the way up, maybe 1/3, let's call it that. So if you want to make sure these go to about 1/3 of the way up, that would be a good reference to use, maybe about here. So again, I might want to cover up some of my birch trees to make them go a little bit higher up so they're a little further away, right? And otherwise, I'm just stroking kind of around the trees to border them a little bit. So this one's nice and big, it's going to come further down, so I'm just making sure to put the leaves around it. I would say you want to cover up most, if not all, of the space so far with this bright red. Even though we're adding in the dark red, it's good just to cover our bases, as I always say. So even though we're kind of combining all these brush strokes together, it is important, in my opinion, to still do all the individual brush strokes because it gives it all that texture. See that light shining off of it? You can see all those individual brush strokes and therefore all the individual leaves that are there. Dabbing on them hairs. I appreciate that, Barb. Alright, so now I'm had a quick question about brushes. Do you use natural bristle brushes? The answer is no. Mine are synthetic. Synthetic hairs. That's what I've always used. I honestly don't know if that's like the recommended thing, but that's mostly what I've heard and what I've been kind of growing up with, I guess, painting. It's always worked for me. So yeah, I use natural hair, or sorry, excuse me, synthetic. I think natural hair is more so for oil paints, if I'm correct. Question mark. I've only just started working with oil paints, and I know that my bristles are a lot rougher rather than a little more like shapely and soft. So I think they're a little more like the natural hair side. And then you said also brushes with sizes. You, for example, when you say medium round, what number would it be? So this is a number 6. The large flat is a number 12. And the small round is a number 1. So you can see how these trees are starting to shape out. I'm just kind of adding in these leaves and also shaping out the trees as I go. So maybe this one will come a little higher. Let's go about there. And hello, Tim, welcome in. Beth, you're very welcome, always, always. Poramita, do we mix black with the red? Not yet. I'm going to be using just this plain red. It's just a lot brighter kind of as a base. And I will be mixing some black in a little bit later, but for now, just the plain red. Bernadine, welcome in. Nice to see you. Going to paint this on the weekend. Sounds good. So you can see kind of nice and tight to my borders. You can see the only spot that I'm not super tight to is the bottom because again, we're going to have a nice big ledge here. So we want to make sure that we're remembering that like almost like a hand size. Let's see. Let's just see if I'm correct. I think that's about right. Bam, look at that. Nice hand right there. So just remember that that whole area is going to be covered up. So if you have any trees that are ending like at the very bottom, kind of like mine, here's a good example. These are all about to be cut off in the same spot. So I might even raise my leaves a little higher just so I can really choose where I'm cutting off those trees. They slowly get kind of higher and higher as I go. And Susie, hello. Oh, there you go. Donna got you there. It says acrylic is very harsh on natural hair. There you go. Yeah, I've just always used synthetic, and I've never really been told why. I've never really questioned it. I just said, okay, and it's worked for me, so. Tips hat, howdy. What is some Kentucky coffee, Nessa? That sounds intriguing. So again, I'm going to start cutting these ones off a little higher just because that's where the windowsill is going to go. And in turn, I will cut these medium ones a little bit higher as well. This one will go maybe up here. Because even the handprint's going to go above that there. These ones can go way up here. So that just adds some depth by kind of ending them a little higher, a little lower as you go. There we go. And you're welcome in him, no worries. Also brush size needs to change if we use smaller canvas. Maybe. If you're using a smaller one, maybe you can go a little bit smaller, but At that point, I think you'll reach a point in where you just kind of use the small detail brush like all the time. If you're doing a really, really small canvas, you might find that just the small one is good enough for you. Maybe like medium and small. Somehow natural hair brushes tend to curl up when doing acrylic painting. I prefer synthetic. There you go, there you go. Yeah, I've never used natural hair for it. Ah, I see, Nessa. Gotcha, gotcha. I'm not rehearsed in my my coffee drinks. I don't usually drink coffee, so that includes any coffee drink. Glad you're feeling creative though. All right, just giving a quick half minute, then we're going to add black right in here. We actually want the red to be nice and wet, so this will work out perfectly. I think that's funny. Nessa's like, what is that? I don't know. I knew a bunch at one point because I used to serve, so I actually memorized all the like dessert coffees, the B52s and stuff, but that's long gone. That's long gone. Quinn, welcome in. 9 a.m. here in the Philippines. Good morning. Good morning. So many of you from the Philippines. People talking to each other? You like your mornings with me, huh? This is so sweet. Nice to see everybody. All right, so we do want to move on just because, again, we want the red to still be at least a little bit wet for the next step here. We actually want to blend a little bit of black into the red. So I'm taking just small amounts of black on my brush, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do these little brush strokes kind of back and forth, and I want only a teeny bit of black because I don't want it to come off pure black. I want it to come off and kind of mix with the red as I go, right? So just a little bit, and I'm just going to go crisscross back and forth and help it kind of mold into the red, so that I can keep these nice shadows here, and then maybe move a little bit around too. But mostly we're kind of sticking it in this, again, diagonal area at the base of each tree coming down to the right. Of course, if the bases are down too low, you won't have a shadow, just anything above here. So you can see I've taken my medium round brush. It still has red paint on it, and that's okay. I dipped it into a tiny bit of black, and just to be super safe, I kind of wiped it off on my towel. And that way there's no big blobs of black that are going to be left behind. And now what I do is I just kind of go back and forth, kind of either crisscrossing, I just need to grab a little bit more, crisscrossing or dabbing, whatever you want, and I try to make these diagonal shadows here. So just going from the base of the tree and then over to the right. And you can see the more it mixes with the red, the less it shows up. So it's really just the first few strokes, I would say, that kind of show up, and then it kind of gets eaten up by the red. Again, tiny bits of black. I want to keep saying that. You're not blobbing the black on, you're just kind of dipping in the black, tapping off on a towel or paper towel. Not too many good examples here. I guess my tree placement is a little bit different. I can't show you too many shadows, so I'll keep looking at this one here. You can add just small amounts of black at a time if you want to make it a little bit darker. And I like kind of tapping on the edges here just to make it look like it's kind of fading out. You can kind of add a few of these little strokes just around. As long as you have them all centered kind of together in the shadow areas, those will still pop out compared to your other brush strokes kind of all around here. So I will take small amounts of black as well, just as I was doing before, and kind of dab on just little bits in the red. That way it mixes into a nice dark red, gives a little bit of depth with all the different shades of red going on. I would do the shadows first though, just so you can kind of see where those are and really clean those up, make them nice and prominent. So yeah, I don't have a lot of, I guess I have this one up here, and it kind of hides behind that one. And then these ones are going to be covered up by the windowsill, so there's really no point in me doing these. So I'm only going to have a couple shadows in here. Oh, this one here. If you ever get to a point too where maybe you used a little bit too much black, you can always go in with some red and just kind of tap that on or stroke that on, and that'll help kind of dilute it again to more of a nice maroon color. Anam, brush that I got very hard bristles, however the label said it was for acrylic. I found it hard to paint with. Sometimes Anam, when they first come in the package, before you use them, they're a little bit hard. I'm not sure if that's the situation you had, but sometimes they're kind of crispy. You just have to kind of put them in water. I would maybe lightly kind of tap the bristles against the bottom of a water cup, and it'll help them separate a little bit. But if it's still like that, I would maybe go back to the store, honestly, and let them know, because that doesn't sound like it's for acrylic if they're super, super tough. After the first use, they should be nice and soft. Tea over coffee? You got it, Alicia. You know, you know. Welcome in, by the way. You know, big tea lover here versus coffee. You too, you too. Hi from Philippines. See, a lot of you from the Philippines today. Welcome in. Just want to ask if I can use the regular watercolor instead of acrylic. Sure, you can. Honestly, watercolor for this one, Aya, might be a little bit tough just because you'll really have to plan ahead. With watercolor, I don't think you have any like white, really, unless you're using gouache or something like that. So you'll have to kind of plan out where your birch trees are. Here's an idea, though. You could use some tape, some nice, easy to kind of peel off tape. You can kind of tape off where your birch trees are going to go. You can do everything else around them. And as one of your final steps, you can peel that tape off. It would be very satisfying to do. And then you have all your beautiful white birch trees ready to go just to kind of detail up with some black and gray. So Donna's ready. Perfect. I'll give it another quick half minute and then we can move right along here. Check in on the other chat here. I think you're all fine though. We'll just double check. Yes, you're all good. Just talking about salted caramel. Okay. Oh man. Just keep talking about your food. Oh, me? Yeah, were you going to do that today, James? Yeah, no worries, no worries. Let me know if the water works. Maybe you just kind of went straight into the paint and it was very hard. Try kind of just swirling it in water a little bit, tapping on the bottom of a cup. That might help. And you're welcome, Nafisa, no worries. All right, so we're still going to add leaves, everybody. We're not quite done with the leaves here. I'm going to add some up top now. So I'm just washing off my brush just to get it nice and clean again. So I want to go back into the plain red now. So we're going to do two colors of leaves. We've got the plain red, the nice bright plain red, and then we've got the nice dark kind of maroon red as well. Just pouring a little more of that regular red there. There we go. So going back to grabbing some red on the tip of my brush here. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle the leaves on. That's how I describe it, kind of sprinkling them along the top. So I'm not loading them up like I did on the bottom. There's just maybe a couple kind of hanging around up here that haven't quite fallen yet. So it's the same technique, just spacing them out more. So here I go, using the tip of the brush, small brush strokes. And kind of altering, maybe angling left, angling right, down, any which way. Again, if you'd rather tap them on, you can. I personally like stroking so you get more of an oval shape. I prefer not to overlap the birches. You totally can. In theory, the leaves could overlap the birches a little bit, of course, but I personally like going in between the birches. In between. Keep in mind we're doing this twice, so you don't have to really fill it up. We're going to be doing some with some dark red as well. Is it okay to use green in place of the red? Of course it is, Joyce. Yes, it can be whatever season you want it to be. Maybe it's like changing from green to red. That would be cool. You can do some yellows in there too, some oranges, whatever you want. Of course you can. That'd be beautiful. Great. Gray didn't make you do anything. Not now. Too wholesome, huh? Can't be that wholesome. Couldn't be on a tutorial night. There we go. All right. Have fun. Children over there. Uh-oh. I need it, to be honest. Give me it. I need it. All right, I'm going to do the same thing, everybody, with some dark red now. So you can use the red on your brush. You can mix it with a tiny bit of black on your plate. If you happen to have your wall color left over, that's perfect. Got my maroon, doing the same thing. So you can see it just adds a nice dark color to our already existing bright red. Same thing though, just doing the small little brush strokes, filling up some more space, as much or as little as you want. And again, Joyce brought up a great point. She said, can I use green? You can use any colors. If you want to throw some oranges and yellows in there. When I was making this painting, I was kind of visualizing lots of red. Clearly, I made this red kind of wall, all the red of the leaves here, just to kind of keep it a little more uniform, but nothing wrong with adding a little bit more color. That would be beautiful. So go ahead. Yellows, oranges would be very easy to add. Greens as well. It's funny too because I have a separate camera now, so I can look that way when I need to. Not mad, just disappointed. I don't know, Gray, is it possible? There we go. So I've got enough sprinklings there. That's kind of the way I want it, just a little more loose, a little more open. Yeah. No, you're always here for Toot Nights. Always Fridays, Sundays. Don't miss anything during the week. Give another quick minute if you're still adding, then we can actually test your birch trees. If anyone has any wet white, I'd love to know, because I think what we could do if nobody has wet white paint for their birch trees, we can actually add the nice markings on them, the nice black and the nice gray. I keep forgetting that's one, the leader one. I don't know if I've read that before. No, I've read it before. I just forgot. What a time. Just giving another few extra seconds in case anyone's birch trees are wet. Oh, Michelle says wet. Okay, no worries. I can easily change up the order of things. All right, got one wet, and that's enough for me. We can just move on to a different step. That's totally fine. We can do the windowsill. Window and windowsill. I actually love the separate. I think it's funny. All right, let's have a look at the window. So again, we'll leave the birch trees to dry a little bit more just in case anyone has still has some wet white. What we can do is we can start to go around the edge. So this is where you want to start to clean up your edge. So if you have anything that's not really straight or kind of wobbly, the frame is what's going to straighten it all out. And even my frame is still a little wobbly, and that's okay. That's what happens, just a little wobbly sometimes, it's fine. So what I did is I started with white paint, and then what I did is I stroked on some gray on top to make it look a little more rustic, a little more like weathered, and yeah, just not like a plain bright white compared to our birch trees. So we'll start with white, and then I'll teach you how to weather it down a little bit and how to frame all the other kind of fancy parts in it. I will also be marking out the actual window ledge or window sill where our beautiful pie is going to go to get nice and cool by the window. So once again, I'll use white to start, and then we can kind of block in some grays. We have a nice medium gray and a dark gray as well, so we'll do that. So start with white. We're just going to use the medium round brush. That's my preferred brush for this step. And plain white paint. I'm going to pour some more. Making a color pencil draft and sketch. Ooh, and then painting canvas on tomorrow. Davina, what a good idea. I really love when I see other people use different mediums for the designs. It's always so cool to see how they turn out. Okay, so as I mentioned before, you can either, you can really place the frame in like a small little radius here. It can either go smack in the middle between the red and the birch tree area. You can move it over to the left, or excuse me, that's right. Or you can move it over to the left. It's kind of up to you where you want to place it. As long as it's straight up and down and covering this in between here, that's really your main goal. So if you want, you can start kind of thin and then make it wider as you go. Once you place down your first couple strokes, you can decide where you want to move it. Do you want to move it more left, more right, etc. We will also be outlining it in gray, so just so you know that there will be a gray outline going all around it as well. Just a thin one. Alright, just gonna work on the top here. No worries, Two Shades, thanks for coming in. Have a good Friday night. Nana, I'm in Ontario, Canada. Where are you from? I'll point out here, I just grabbed a little bit of red by accident. I'm not worried about it because I'll be going around in gray as a border anyway. So just so you know that if you happen to get a little bit of red that may be hooked onto your bristles as you shift it over, totally fine. Gray will cover it up. And then lucky me, I had like a white birch tree kind of on the right hand side here, just bordering the wall and the outside, so I can kind of use that as my frame if I need to. So I'll just need to extend the white a little bit over, but I'll also be able to use the birch tree for the most part. Renee, no. The name on the page is erinbunpaints. Thank you, Lynn, for answering. Good morning, Archana. Watching from India. Ooh, cool. Good morning to you. So again, you can see that red grab, no worries at all. Gray will cover that up. Gray, are you getting confused every time I say gray? Alright, and then down at the bottom, everybody, again, I want to remind you that we're kind of cutting across a little bit high up. Even though we brought the birch trees down a little bit, that was just in case. You know, it's just kind of like, again, covering our bases. But we want a nice big area for this frame and the ledge. So remember that we need to kind of make two white areas here. We've got to go across for the frame, and then I'll show you the ledge, how it kind of angles down as well. Yeah, I'm so sorry. There's a lot of gray in this painting. I keep saying gray's going to cover it up. You're going to come in and cover it up if we make a mistake. So here I go. I'm going to cut across first for the actual frame. Thank you, Patricia. I appreciate it. Mubin, welcome in. Oh, no worries. She's coming in to cover it all up. Here she comes. red's kind of showing through at the bottom, obviously, so I'm going to leave that alone for a little bit. I'm going to go down to the ledge here just to kind of start the ledge as well. So the ledge, we're going to go from the frame downwards. And what I'm doing is I'm doing first 2 angled lines coming out from the outsides here, as if the ledge is coming towards us, getting a little wider. So that's why the angled lines are there. We go angle out to the right, out to the left. And if you're like me and you off-centered your window, it's going to be a little bit closer to the left. So this left-hand edge here is going to fall right off like that. And then probably mostly only on this side, we're going to do a straight line down just before it hits the bottom. So it's as if we're doing kind of the angle coming out, and then we're doing the front-facing edge of the ledge. So this will all be covered, but just so you can kind of visualize, we have the top part of the ledge here, and then the bottom part of the ledge, or the front-facing part of the ledge on the bottom there. So again, you'll want to make sure that you're leaving at least a little bit of white above there. So if you need to repaint white or just leave a little gap of white, that's okay, because we want to make sure we have both the frame and the ledge itself, right? So I'm actually choosing to put a little extra white along the top just to make sure I have enough for a frame. And then we can start to cover the rest with gray. I'll give you a quick second though if you're still kind of mapping that out. We don't need to fill in the whole ledge with white, it was just to kind of map it out so you can see it a little better visually. And Nafisa from Bangladesh, good morning. Good morning to you too. It's just so fun to hear that a lot of you are just popping in for a nice little morning morning routine, morning viewing. I assume you're not painting, but maybe you are. Maybe you're painting just nice early in the morning. Who knows? Welcome in either way though, of course. Alright, so I'll show you the ledge just so I can make that a little clearer what we're doing. So we have like this nice medium gray on the top part of the ledge where the actual pie is going to sit, the most important part of the pie, of course. And then we have this kind of front-facing part of the ledge, so the part that's like flat and facing us, it's a little bit of a darker gray. So we're doing a nice kind of light to medium gray, and then I would call this a medium to dark gray down here. So we can mix both of those and start to apply those on the windowsill. So for the medium gray, we would just do about half white, half black. Light to medium, I'll call it. And again, we're using that to cover the top part of the ledge. So the top part that we kind of mapped out with the angles and then the straight line across. As usual, just trying to keep it nice and smooth because our pie is eventually going to go here. We don't want it on any bumpy surfaces. We want it on a nice smooth area. So just nice large back and forth strokes as you're filling it in. So you can see hopefully that top part of the ledge now, again, the part with the angles coming out and then straight across. So we're just leaving a small gap at the bottom right now. Brittany, I love that name. I might actually do it. If we can put a pie in there somehow, like I like the pun, let's get a pie in there somehow. Let me think. We can both think on it. I really like that though. Like, Birch, please don't touch my pie or something like that. Or you can just keep it simple. That's a good one. That's a good one. What color ledge? So Pam, I'm using like a medium gray, I would say, a medium gray, and then I'll be using dark gray on the bottom. So medium gray is about half of white and black. So I'm just moving to the bottom part of the ledge now. So again, this is the front facing part of the ledge. I'm just mixing more black into my gray, so it's going to be a nice dark gray. And I'm just filling up the rest of the bottom with it. So kind of keeping a nice straight edge all the way across where the medium gray is meeting here. Like that. And of course the edge of this is going to be straight up and down, so we don't want to continue the angle that the gray had above it. We're going to actually come straight down as if the ledge is coming now down. Hopefully you see that coming to shape there, how we have the top part angling towards us and then now down comes straight down. I think mine's a little wonky right there, so I'm going to fix that, but otherwise you can see hopefully the general shape there. Thank you, Lynn, for answering. I see you answering there. Thank you. And what do I need here? Oh yeah, the light gray. Ooh, sounds good, dark. Right here, I think it's a little wonky. So again, if I see any red that I think is going to affect my actual frame, I'm just leaving that for now so I can kind of go over top of it later. This part here, though, I'm not nervous about. We can just use some gray for that one. Yay! There we go. See, Anna's got it. Not my pie. Yeah, something like that. I like that a lot. It's a good one. All right, I'll just give it a quick minute in case anyone's catching up there. I think we should move to the color of the birch trees next. I guess the shading of the birch trees. Lots of blacks and grays. Excuse me. Or we can keep working on the window. Let me think about this. Because I did the trees before any of this. Now we can do the trees next. We'll do the trees next. Glad you're excited, Dark. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate ya. Brittany, that's good. Oh no, Charlene, what's going on? I'm sorry. I remember you being very excited about today. I'll try and chat with you as I paint here. Alright guys, let's go ahead and start to mark up our birch trees. So our birch trees right now, they're just plain white. They're not quite birchy yet. We want to add some black markings and then some gray on them, right? So we're going to do both of those things. I'm going to use this medium brush actually. You can kind of switch back and forth between maybe a medium and small if you want, but I'm going to use mostly this medium brush. And I'm going to use kind of my dry brushing technique. So for those who have seen that before, just using a small amount of paint and kind of scraping it on. That's the technique I'm using. So I'm going to keep using, again, the medium brush, medium brown brush. I've washed it off. I'm now applying a little bit of black paint to it, just a wee bit. And I'm going to tap it off a little bit on my towel or paper towel, and then that way there's not a lot left on there. That's the key. We don't want a lot of paint at all. And then as a result, when I go to stroke it on my birch tree here, so either from left to right or right to left, it's going to come off a little bit kind of textured there. See that? Comes off very dry looking, very stipply, and that's exactly the look we're going for. We don't want it to be kind of thick and gloopy. We just want it maybe a little bit thick, but for the most part it looks very just dry just like that. So you can see I'm holding my brush super loose so that I'm not too worried about making like straight lines or anything. I think a key to these is actually messiness. You want to kind of loosen up and get them a little bit messy so you're not thinking about them quite as much. And you're just kind of going between maybe making some smaller strokes, some larger strokes, wider, thinner, longer, shorter. So you can go all the way across the tree if you want. You can maybe just do a couple little ones like this. You can go from the middle if you need. I personally like going from the edges. I mostly stick to going along the edges, kind of either left to right or right to left. And again, I'm just continuing to pick up a little bit of black and kind of scrape along very loose. You can see I'm also holding my brush super loose so that the bristles don't press too hard. And again, that way they softly roll across like that. Very nice. Thanks, Jay Cherie. Welcome in. And the fall pie, pie and fall, or pie in the fall, all good as well. The fall of the pie. Hopefully not. We don't want our pies to fall. That's my pie. Birch. It's not the same without the beach. Birch. Beach. Howdy, little wolf. Welcome in. Oh, Phoenix, if I can help you catch up, just let me know. We did the windowsill, I guess, after the tree, so if you need any help with that, let me know. Window frame and sill. So again, I'll just point out one more time as well how some of the black streaks come off a little bit thick, and that's okay, as long as you have a nice mixture. You'll see some markings on birch trees that are a little bit thicker, a little bit bolder, but I just try and mix them up amongst all the other ones, right? So I'm just doing this to every birch tree I've got. And it's kind of up to you how much you want to fill it up. I would say less is more, so try with a little less than you think in terms of black. I would maybe take a step back from your painting, see how it's looking, and then decide if you want to add a little bit more. It's easier to add more, it's harder to go backwards, so just kind of think of it that way. Texture. Oh dear, Zach. Like on this day, you mean? Is it your dumping anniversary? Is that what you mean? It's a new year, it's true. Cloudy with a chance of pie, not meatballs. I appreciate that as well, Kirthi. Thank you very much. We could just say cloudy with a chance of pie. I think that's good. It's a nice one. And experiment too, guys, with your pressure. I mean, the more pressure you use, the thicker and wider your strokes will be. If you just use a small amount of pressure, you can do some thin lines in and out of there. That's fine too. And thinking about it less is good. You don't want to overthink it. You can see I'm just kind of switching back and forth however I please. I'm not doing a specific pattern. Just kind of leaving some space in between each stroke, a little bit, a lot of it, anything you need. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Nafisa. You're both so kind. Thank you. Lynn, I'm loving your outlook on today. It's been so uplifting and lovely. All right, they're starting to come together, looking a little birchier, you know. Yes, little wolf, I did. It's actually an issue right now. If I have time, little wolf, I'm going to actually stay on and try and troubleshoot it a bit because it should not be doing that. It's actually a better quality camera than I usually use. I can fix the focusing thing easy. I kept it on autofocus because I thought it would be beneficial, but I see it constantly trying to focus. But yeah, I see the graininess, and it's a way better quality camera than what I was using. So it's something on my end that I need to change, yeah. At least it's working. We almost weren't able to get up and running here, but we did it. We did it. And I think the lighting's better. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. If you've ever seen my tutorials at night, usually the lighting is very, very dim, but now it's at least consistent. So, like, small win. In and out. No, thank you, Wolf. I really appreciate it. I know sometimes people are afraid of speaking up about that kind of stuff. It's not picking. It's I think it's very legitimate, so thank you, yes. I'll be working on it. If you know anything, feel free to give me any tidbits. I'm down. Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate it. Almost there. I've got 1, 2, maybe 2.5 left here because I've got that edge of the other one. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, it is better. Isn't that funny, huh? How that all works. We'll figure it out though. It'll be pristine, Lynn, when we figure it out. It'll be just the best. Thank you, Donna. I'm glad you think so. Yeah, it seems more consistent everywhere, actually. It could be. Verb, is that like my bit rate? Because I played around with bit rate already and that wasn't it. But if you know the setting, let me know and I'm down to play around after. I think it might be the camera, but I don't know. Like just settings wise. Like ISO and aperture and all the fancy things that I don't know. Or the cord. It was suggested it might be the cord. Thank you, Little Wolf. That's good. That's good, Gray. Okay, thanks, Verb. Appreciate it. I bet it's something small like that. I bet it's an easy fix. Okay, I've got the half tree to go. So again, I have the frame here, so I want to make sure I'm not covering the whole thing, right? Something like that. Cool, cool, cool. Look at them come together. There we go. Reception on mine has been fantastic. That's great, Bear. I'm so glad to hear. Some people were saying it was a little bit jittery at the start, but maybe it got better. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I think it's a camera setting. I think it's some fancy camera setting that I don't know anything about. ISO be fancy and stuff. An aperture. I don't know. So I'll play around. And I read so many different things too. Like I was legit trying to research it so I could figure it out myself because that's what I like. And I read so many conflicting things. So that's the troubling part. Right, Lynn? It'll be such good quality. It'll be like I'm in the room with you. Hello, Dee Dee. Welcome in. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm useless with cameras. And I meant to go test it to take a picture. I'm sure it would be fine. I think it's something to do with the lighting in here and the constant like stream. I don't know if that makes sense. It's another Sony a6000. Yikes. The same one that I use to point at my paintings. And that one seems to be okay. I don't think that one's grainy, so that's the most confusing part. It might be because it's so... Not because it's so zoomed in, but because the screen is so small, like I'm never just showing my painting, right? It's always like a smaller window, so maybe it's not noticeable. But I used that one straight out of the box as well, didn't change a thing. I think I set it to auto, and it's been fine, I think. We could test that one out, but anyway. Donna's ready. Angela, you're right about the black lines on the trees. Try not to think about it. Yep, the second I overthink it, Donna, or Angela, excuse me, it's, yeah, it gets a little too aligned, you know? Too patterned. Just gotta go with it. Just... Tim, I am not. Next time I'll be on is Friday on Facebook. If you're looking for me before then, I'll be on Twitch tomorrow, actually. I can tell you about that in a second, because there's exciting stuff going on tomorrow. In the meantime, everyone, I'm going to switch to gray, and I'm going to do the same thing with gray. The only difference is I'm only going to stick to the right-hand sides. So the gray is meant as kind of like shading for the trees versus the black is the literal black markings on the trees. So I do the same thing. You can see it's still dry strokes. The only difference is I'm only going from the right-hand side and brushing slowly inside here. So just little bits, all right? So I'm going to keep using my medium round brush. I'm going to mix white and black. I would say probably like a light to medium gray, so more white than black. Same thing, I want to make sure I'm wiping it on my towel or paper towel so there's not a lot on there. And then I'm just kind of sweeping from the right-hand side over. And you can leave some gaps here and there, but I would say this is a little more consistent. You're kind of consistently going up the tree. You can, of course, skip if you have some black maybe, but otherwise you're trying to get a nice little layer on that right-hand side, kind of sweeping in a little bit. You can see how that tree looks so different from the others. It looks a little more round, a little more three-dimensional because of the shading. So we're going to do that to each and every tree. And hello, Miriam, welcome in. So yeah, Tim was asking, are you on tomorrow night? So the answer is no. That question was from Facebook. I'm not going to be on Facebook tomorrow night, but I am on Twitch tomorrow during the day, and I'm doing something fun. I'm doing some paint pouring. Ooh, ah. So I've been talking about doing a paint pouring tutorial for a while, and it's not a tutorial tomorrow. It is still just me testing out paint pouring because I still want to get a little more comfortable with it. So if you're interested in kind of watching me just mess around with paint pouring, I'm going to have a whole kind of crazy setup back here, a nice flat table, multiple camera angles so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow starting around 10 o'clock and going until I feel like it. Usually I go until like mid-afternoon, but if it gets a little messy or I run out of something, I might end a little early, but for the most part, I want to really experiment and get some cool designs going. So if you're interested in that, you can watch me on Twitch tomorrow at 10 a.m. EST. The link is pinned if you're interested. And again, I'm doing that because I do want to do a tutorial eventually. So I'm kind of prepping for that. So if anyone's interested in learning how to paint pour, I will be doing that hopefully soon, as long as I can get a little more comfortable tomorrow. I've done it, I did it once a few weeks ago on stream on Twitch as well. And I've got some different supplies that I'm going to be testing out again today, or tomorrow, excuse me. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm curious to see if it'll be a lot different. Be watching a few more little tutorial videos and seeing what we can create. I bought some metallic paints. Ooh, oh. And I'll be using those as well, just to see what I can make. So yeah, I'm on Twitch all the time for those who are curious. On Facebook, yes, Round Brush Paramita, yes. I'm on Twitch a lot more. So on Facebook, I only do the tutorials, but on Twitch, you'll see me doing a variety of painting streams, just like me painting and chatting, doing fun little challenges, messing around with things like paint pouring. I was doing a paint by numbers the other day, just as a nice relaxing stream for everybody. So lots of different things. Gray, you're funny. That's fine. You can be whatever you want. I'll call you a light to medium. It's fine. It means you're a little more, like, not dark. I think you're just the opposite of dark. That's all I'm thinking. You're not dark gray. Evil, scary gray. You're just light to medium. You got both sides. You got light and medium. Like getting here, what's a toot bun? Did someone say toot bun? Yes, the camera keeps focusing, Cindy. I've got to fix that. I think it's like a tutorial by Bun. Toot Bun, I guess. I don't know who said it. Brittany, what's up? Paint pouring is a waste of paint. Ooh, Krithy, I disagree. I think it makes some very cool art, and it doesn't really use all that much because you actually mix a lot of it with water and or glue, so it's really to each their own. If you'd rather just watch and like have the satisfying pour and kind of watch that, totally fine. Yeah, to each their own, exactly. When adding the lines of the birch tree black, do you think a palette knife? It sure would. Brittany's asking, do you think a palette knife would make cool markings with the black? It totally would. Would some vertical lines be too much? I don't think so. I would maybe think about doing vertical lines in gray just to start to see how it looks. I would imagine the gray, maybe doing some vertical lines on the edge as well as sweeping across. That would kind of make some very straight edges. Try that. But I think that would be lovely. Just use little bits of paint, Brittany, because the black could obviously blob a little bit, so test it out a little. But it would be so bomb. Yes. Exactly. Toot toot. Yeah. You got it. Yeah, let me know how it turns out. Thank you, Anusha. I appreciate it. So here's where we are. I've got all the nice birch tree markings on. So just in a minute or so, I'm going to give you another minute. We're going to add on the gray outlines. Gray outlines around the frame. And then we're going to do the white. I'm just leaving the white for now because we have this black and gray in the trees here, so we don't want to clutter that up too much for now. Then we can outline those, and then we've got the little pie to do. Yeah! Griffy. You can actually save that if you want. You can kind of like pile it all up and then re-pour it if you need to, because if it's really careful, you can actually like pour it back in. I'll show you if you want to tune in tomorrow. I'll show you. And I took some cool pictures too of the stuff that dripped down a little bit. I made some very cool like background photos for phones and stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's lovely, Brittany. I love it. Yeah, our bit table. Good analogy. Thank you, Wood. Yeah, if you want to just, Griffy, if you just want to join in to like watch, totally cool. And that's mainly what it's for tomorrow, especially. It's not even a tutorial, right? It's just for funsies. So if you're not into it, that's cool. If you're into it, that's cool too. That too, you can put down paper, you can plan ahead, put a second canvas down there. It's like a second pour. It's like a little sister painting. Barb, I like where this is going. Donna's ready to go. Perfect. Yeah, let's go right on to the gray outlines here. So just pointing out again, the gray can outline most of what we have. We still have the gray outline for this like window that's actually coming down here, but we're leaving that just because we freshly put on some black and gray, so I don't want that to you know, interfere. So we'll just kind of work on the grays first on the main frame down here. The main frame. Anyway, down here on the ledge, and then we're going to go back up and kind of do that all at once as well, the white and then the gray again. For the brush you use, you can use any of the three, honestly. It's really up to you. I actually like using the biggest brush for this, the nice large flat brush, because it holds a lot of paint. You can do some nice thin streaks with it, with the nice thin bristles all in a row. You could also use the medium brush, just the tip of the brush. You could use a tiny brush, just kind of going little bit by little bit. So all of those will work. Oh, thank you, Kim, and thank you, Kim, again. You're so sweet. Thanks. I just picked up new hair dye today, actually. So maybe it'll be another color next time. We'll see. Place your votes. What color? So the gray I'm mixing, I would call a medium to dark gray now, because we want it to really stand out amongst the white and amongst this ledge here. So maybe a little bit darker than your dark gray that you use down here, just to make sure it shows up. So I'm outlining both edges, the outside and the inside. So I'm going right down this side here. Again, if you're using the large brush, you can use the flat edge so all the bristles are nice and lined up. Going down this side. Coming across, of course. More paint. So you cut all the way across. The ledge and the frame can be separated by that line. I think it was an analogy, yeah. Unless he's making omelets right now, but I think it was an analogy for paint pouring. That's a good combo. Where's the bacon though? What would you remove from that gray? So don't forget, you can outline the whole ledge as well. So I'm just going down, 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 and then I don't need to outline that, but you can do a nice little edge right here just to clean that up. Yep. And then I've got the insides to do. Correct, Cindy, that is very correct. You mix the milk in before you pour the eggs. Yes, very good trick. It's not just straight eggs. Gotta get that milk in there. Buttermilk specifically is great. So you can see I'm going along the inside edge now. There. So my frame's a little thinner here. That's okay. wobbly, that's okay too. Go. And then you can add some little details to the corners. I like to do just kind of angled lines coming to the corners here. It makes it look more like a frame in my opinion. So angled, like connecting the two corners on each corner there. There we go, that's a little nicer. So again, a little wonky just because I'm lifting it up as I go, but you get the idea. I will still brush it with gray next, just so everybody knows, so that is coming up. Oh, no worries, Phoenix. You know you can message me if you want, if you're in the Discord. If not, here's the Discord. And if you'd rather use Facebook, you can message me there, and I can totally help you with the rest. Otherwise, you can watch for the video. No worries. Yes, pancakes. So much food in the chat today. Dang, burp, dang. Using a brush to make lines, dry brushing. Essentially, yes. For the markings you're saying, yes. If you're using a palette knife, it's different. You're just kind of using the paint. It wouldn't be dry brushing. You're using the paint and like lightly scraping it. Similar, but you're not like wiping the paint off of the palette knife is all I'm saying. If you're talking about the lines for the frame, that's not dry brushing. It's just nice clean lines. We'll be dry brushing next though, for the gray. Yes, pie is really soon. I'm saving it for the end. Painting Plant Lady, hello! What did you post today that I loved? It was something cotton candy sky, wasn't it? That was my comment on it. I can't oh, it was on a circular wooden board, am I correct? It was so beautiful. Welcome in, welcome in. How's your day been going? Okay, I'm just going to be dry brushing the gray on now. So remember I pointed out how we have kind of a rustic looking frame. If you really look close, there's some dry brushing going on here to make it look a little more wooden. So you can use your medium brush now. You can use a light to medium gray. And again, we're going with the dry brushing technique. So very similar or the same to what we did to our birch trees, just using a small amount of paint. This time it's gray. Wiping on your towel or paper towel. And we're just kind of lightly scraping up and down on top of the white. So that was a little heavy up here. That's okay though, I'm gonna leave it. In fact, I'm gonna maybe add a little more just to help bring it down a little. But mainly you can see what's happening there is just a little bit is being left behind. It makes it look nice and dry and kind of like worn in. So it's not a fresh coat of white paint on there. It's a little more like chippy, just a little more rough looking. So a little down here. So just a little bit of gray, wiping off on your towel or paper towel, and then wiping on top of your white frame. It's up to you how much or how little you want to do, of course. If you want it very rustic, very kind of chipped off, lots of gray is fine. If you want just a little bit of texture, just a little bit is good. Okay, so I'll give a quick minute for that. Is that true, Gray? Cinnamon. Ooh. I mean, I wasn't going to, but someone else might, Cindy. I haven't figured out yet getting that going. I haven't tested it, I should say. It would be maybe a mess if I tried, so I might not, Cindy. But if you're in the Discord, Cindy, which you are, I can let you know where we're playing and we can actually stream it to Discord. I can show you. It's very easy. You would just click somebody's view and then you can actually see it go down. You can chat with us at the same time. It's all very fun. It's like a private stream, special stream. Not done. It's not done? It looks so done. Oh, lovely. That sounds fun, honestly. I love at-home hair care like that. Yeah, Barb's house is the house everyone's moving to, apparently. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna go back to the window now. So if you like the idea of just a plain open window like this, you don't want to clutter it up, that's totally fine. Just to make mine a little more window-like, I decided to add the slidey window. I was kind of debating a window frame kind of back and forth, and I was like, I didn't want to really cover up a whole lot. So instead I did these two bars kind of here, as if the window has slid up and there's kind of a double pane glass here, and then we can slide it back down when the pie is done cooling. So you can see what happened is I did a nice white, just very thin edge all the way around, and then I did two lines coming across about halfway down, so that again, if we pull this down, it would close up. So I'd go back to the medium brush at this point and just do the same thing that we did with the frame, just now with white and a little bit of a thinner line. Just gonna grab a little bit more. Allie, you can come. Well, sorry, I don't want to. It's Burb's house. it's Burb's theoretical moving in. Or maybe not, I don't know. Maybe you're all moving in together and I don't know. Oh, we're picking a new house, I see. Can't wait to see it, Burb. Okay, so I'm doing a nice white border just on the inside of my frame. I'm coming down about halfway, and then I'm going to come straight across. I just need a little more paint there. Going across the top here. And then along that right-hand side. So there goes that birch tree I spent so much time on. That one that was hugging the edge. I guess we still see him down here, but he's mostly covered up at this point. Okay, so we have one line going across. We want to do a second one. The second one's just a little above or a little below. If you choose to go below, you'll just need to extend the sides a little bit. The sides need to match up with the bottom horizontal line. So I'm just going to go above here just because that's already done. Trying to do it the same width, but honestly it got a little bit wider. No big deal. And then we're going to do one small little detail here. I just added a little notch. It's a very simple notch. If you want to get a little more detail with it, you can. Mine is quite literally like a tic-tac looking thing. It looks like a little tic-tac or a nice little oval right there, as if we've like hooked it, kind of like that. And then if we pull it down, it'll kind of hook in down here. So it's just one brush stroke kind of going down on an angle, and then I'll use the gray to outline it so you can see it a little bit better, because right now it looks kind of all mushed in there, but the gray will help outline it again. Birch, don't steal my pie. I love that. Oh my gosh. Birch, don't kill my pie. Birch, don't steal my pie. Yeah, where's the house, though? Yo, I found the perfect house. I assume everyone's invited. You can get a fika corner, of course. Oh, please, Cindy. Yeah, wait, it's in Canada, Verb? Yeah, you get more than a quarter. What are you talking about? Yeah, where's the estate? Okay, I'll look later. That's funny. The estate. Alright, so I'm just going to outline everything I did now in a nice medium to dark gray, same thing as I was doing before. I'm just going to switch to a medium brush just because there's a little less room in between, so I'm just going to use a medium brush to be a little bit slower to kind of outline the things like the little notch here and just thinner lines with the two horizontals here. So really it's just kind of like one line on the edges and the top because you already have the second line kind of bordering the first frame there, so you don't really need to worry about two lines for now, two outlines. It's just the inside outline. Oh, you're welcome, Donna. I'm glad you loved it. going along the top, going along the side. I like to outline the notch first, just so it's kind of in the foreground. So you can see it there, just a nice oval. And then I'm just going to carefully do borders on each of those two frames on the bottom there. One, two. You can see I did that quite thick, so it's probably going to overlap, but that's okay. There's another. And there's another. There we go. So now you can hopefully see kind of the double pane there. There's two little frames and you pull it down so that it all kind of flushes together a bit. I do have one more step for the glass before we do our pie, which is the most exciting part. I do add a little bit of white, you'll see, just to make it look a little more glassy. Maybe you saw it looked a little bit kind of fuzzy up here. That's because there's some white dry brushing to make it look like glass just at the top. It's got a pool. Oh my gosh. Mr. Barb's coming though, right? It's true. He can't open up doors and throw blue shells at us. That would be scary. Oh, no worries, Kit Kat. I'll see you another time, okay? On the stream. Perfect. Maybe see you tomorrow. Okay. So more dry brushing. We got one more dry brushing step, and then we've got our little pie to do. So for this, we're going to be using the medium round brush here. Just a little bit of white is all you need. Tapping it off on your towel or paper towel. And then I was stroking just a little bit left and right again. This should leave behind just a little bit of a transparent streak wherever you go. So very subtle, but kind of adds to the idea that there's glass in front. See, just very subtle streaks. So I'm only doing this on the top half here, of course. And just overlapping whatever you want, just like dryly brushing on top. Makes it look a little glossy. As usual, it's up to you as to add as much or as little as you like. I personally like mine a little bit more subtle, so I don't add too much of this. Just enough so I can see a hint of it, and I kind of like, what is that? And then I realize it's just the glass being reflective, you know? Thank you very much, Sandra. I appreciate it. And yes, good night, Kit Kat. So you can see we're almost done here. We've got the window on, we got the glass. Just got our little pie to go. So does everyone know what kind of pie they're making? What's your favorite? Mine is rhubarb, so mine's a rhubarb pie. Chrissy's making an apple pie. That's probably going to be the popular choice, isn't it? Apple for fall. I think that makes sense. If I were to do apple, I would do like an apple crisp or an apple crumble, personally. Apple pie, good choice, good choice. Yum, yum, yum. Pumpkin for Charlene. Or pumpkin, there's Chrissy with or pumpkin. That's a good point. So I guess pumpkin might be a little different. You might not have the crust on top, but anyway. For Halloween, yum. Alright, so just to show you my little pie here, and I called it a little pie because I think it might be a little small. I don't know, I couldn't decide if maybe it looked a little small for the window or not, but I kept it this size. If you want to make it a little bigger, a nice big pie for your whole fam, or just for you, it's fine. Make it bigger if you want, but I kept it about a third of the size of the window. One, two, roughly a third of the size. So I'm going to start with actually the top of the pie, so I'm going to make a nice beige color. We're going to do a nice round kind of top here. We'll do a little bit of work on the edges here. It's just a little bit of a darker beige around the crust to make it nice and golden brown and beautiful. And then we're going to fill in with a little pie plate here, or pie bowl, whatever you want to call it, pie plate. And it's going to be red. A baking dish. It's a pie dish. Anyway, and you can do whatever color you want, but I was feeling very red vibes, so that's why I chose that. Strawberry for Callie, delicious, delicious. Thank you for sharing your talent with us, lovely painting. Thank you, Patricia. Thanks for coming. I appreciate your kind comments there. All right, so I'm going to start with the kind of lighter beige, so the main pie color. So it's going to be lots of white, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit of red, even less red than yellow. That's how we're making beige. Pie pan, thank you. I was losing my words. Could it be a pie plate though too? Maybe it's what you put your pie on after it's done baking. Pie pan. So again, lots of white, because it's a very light color, and then we add in a little bit of yellow, and then an even smaller amount of red. So like the very teeny tiny tip of your brush into the red paint, and then just a little more into the yellow, lots of white to offset those both. So you're looking for a nice beige color. You can think of it as a nice sand color, but yeah, beige, you know, like a light pastry crust color. Okay, so I'm just going to do a nice round top. I'm just going to put this here. There we go. I like to start with a nice round top, which kind of overlaps the frame a little bit. It's like nice and close to the window. So nice archway. And then just a little bit of a curve on the bottom here. So it still kind of curves along the bottom, but it's really the top curve that's just nice and round here. Just stuffed with all its stuffing, stuffed with its filling. You can fill that in, of course. So it's like, overall, it's pretty much an oval shape. I would say it's a little more curved up top, though, again, because it's very stuffed full of all the good stuff. Whether it's strawberry or rhubarb or apples, whatever it may be. I always call it a pie plate, could be regional. True, true. Like as thick as a cookie. Archana, I don't like pie. What should I draw? Any ideas? What about a nice big cake? What about a crumble? Like, do you like apple crumble? You could do like the pie, plate, pot, whatever you want to call it, pan. Then you could like dab on some darker caramel colors for a nice crumble on top. That would be delicious. That's making me hungry just talking about it. So that's the top. Okay, and then you want to make a nice kind of golden tone to go around that. So the golden tone is, again, kind of like for the crust, we're going to add some slits in the pie. And I'm going to be using a little bit more yellow and red into my existing color. So it's going to make it kind of almost like a light orange. And then to just dirty it up a little bit so it's not orange, it's more of like a crust, we're just using the tiniest amount of black. Just tiny, tiny, tiny. Try and scrape just a tiny bit on your brush, mix it into your darker beige color, and again, that'll kind of dirty it up, just so it's not a bright orange, you know? You'll kind of see what I mean. Because the more yellow red you add to your white, the more it's just going to turn straight orange. So you're going to darken that up and then add a little bit of black. Where did the black go? There it is. Just a wee bit, just kind of dirties it up a bit. If you add a little too much, just add a little more red yellow, a little more white. Just play around till you get more of a nice, yeah, golden color. I want to say like borderline caramel. Yeah. A pie cookie. Yum! A Dutch apple pie. There you go. What is shoe fly pie? Yeah, pie cookie sounds good. Molasses cookies. Oh. We put a pumpkin in the foreground. Oh, that's a great idea, Angela. So what I'm doing with this color is I'm just doing a nice wiggly border, because pie crusts are usually a little wiggly, so I'm just kind of wiggling all the way around. You can see I'm using the medium round brush. You could use the teeny tiny one if you prefer. So nice wiggly border. And then I'm going to use the thin part of my brush here and just do a couple little slits along the top here. So nice little angled slits just to let all the steam out. Yeah, pumpkin's a great idea, Angela. I might try a wheat sheath. Oh, fun! You could put so many things on here. When I was making this on Twitch, I was asking everybody what we should put on the ledge, and we had so many good ideas. Like, a lot of people wanted just a nice cup of coffee, or like a little ring left behind from a nice cup of tea or coffee. You could do a variety of different desserts. Yeah, lots of different things for fall. Jack-o'-lantern. Yeah, I have an edge pie. Thick molasses filling, graham. Oh my gosh, graham type crumble topping. That's super fine, so good. Yum. Well, when we move in, you can bake for us. It'll be great. A loaf of bread, that would be delicious. Yeah, really anything you can bake, you could like put by the window to cool off. That would be cute. Okay, we got 2 steps left. We just got to add the little pie pot, pie plate, whatever you want to call it, and then we're just going to add a little bit of steam up top. So I'm keeping mine red. Again, you can use whatever color you want. You want to make sure it's resting on this top part of the ledge. We don't want to bring it down. That's going to look funny, kind of depth-wise, so mine's going to be quite literally on the edge here. I'm just kind of trying to wrap underneath the pie so it's kind of spilling over. The pie itself is spilling over from the holder here and kind of curving in a little bit. I'll border the nice crust that we just did, trying to keep the bottom flat. I am using the medium round brush. You can use the small one if you wish. So yeah, mine's resting right on the edge there, but that's okay. It's close enough to the window. It's getting a nice cool down. So again, just kind of wrapping close to the edges, but not quite over top. We want the edges of the pie spilling over top. And then keeping the bottom relatively flat. Maybe there's a tiny bit of a curve to it, but not much. Not much. And I'm sure you can guess the last step now that you know it's the steam, because it's very similar to the window reflection there, but I'll teach it anyway in a quick minute. And you're welcome, Mirna it was? Yes, Mirna, I really enjoyed learning. Great, great, great. Oh, Archana, I would place pumpkin soup in it. Oh, and pumpkin. Ooh. So yeah, so many options. I'm curious what you'll choose, Archana. Glasses in a book, yes. Yes, like a pile of books for sure. Macaroons, a bird. When I went to Lancaster and Bird, I kept hearing shoe fly pie. I love all food. I didn't like it. Oh no! It's so sad. You're right, Brittany, thank you. I probably would have forgotten. I'll leave that as a secret. Okay, so final step again is adding some steam to the pie. So again, very similar to the window here, it's just dry brushing white. The only difference is placement and the direction it's going. Of course, we're not going side to side, we're going to be going up. You can kind of do it in a little curvy fashion, like the kind of cartoony, you know, little steam coming off. But same idea, just using the medium round brush, a little bit of white, wiping it off, and I'm just kind of raising it up from the pie. So you might not see a lot of it because it might kind of overlap with birch trees, but you can see it if it goes in between. You could purposely go on top of some of the black gray and kind of fade that out with some of the steam. It's really whatever you want. Once again, it's supposed to be really subtle. You can see it especially there. But really up to you, really up to you. There you go. And as Brittany brought to my attention, thank you, because I would have forgotten, that wasn't the final step. The actual final step is always signing your painting, finishing it off. So I'm just going to grab my teeny tiny brush here, give a little initials in the bottom corner, using red, of course, just to keep with the red theme. Kind of hides it as well. And that's for real the last step. So there you go. Think about pan versus plate. Right. Yeah, that's what I think too, Cindy. That's why I stumbled upon it. Like, I call it a pie plate. Pan does sound right. Oh, and I'm missing so many follows here. Love for all. Thanks so much for the follow. The alerts are off because I'm doing a tutorial. Isle Girl, if you're still here, thanks for the follow. Cord support, thank you for the follow as well. Love the 3D looks. Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate it. Yay! Okay, so I'm done painting, so that means I'm here if you have any questions. I'm fully available to read your chats and everything, even though I've been doing that most of the time here. But if anyone has any final questions, you can let me know now. Just as a few things to wrap up. Thanks for coming. Thanks again for your patience at the start, everybody. I'm so sorry that happened. I don't know. It's just a constant thing with the, again, I was live on Twitch ever since half an hour beforehand. It was just the Facebook platform not recognizing my camera. I had to bring a whole other computer in here to figure it out. So thank you very much for your patience and thanks for sticking around. I don't know, I'm gonna work on whatever happened here and try and make sure it doesn't happen again. So, you know, wait for next time and hear from me, I guess. If something changes, I'll let you know. If you want to see me next time for another tutorial, I'll be on Friday. So once again, I won't be on Sunday. I know sometimes I'm on Sundays, but the last few Sundays have been busy for me in a good way. I'm doing some private painting parties, so that's been fantastic. But as a result, I'm just kind of pushing the free events maybe to once a week just for now. I'm sure, I would think next Sunday I'm back on schedule. I don't think I have anything for next Sunday. So you can see me Friday is my point, 8 p.m. EST again. I'll have a painting posted in the next day or two so you can plan ahead. If you do want to see me before then, I'm on Twitch a lot before then, just doing not tutorials but everyday painting activities. So again, tomorrow I'm paint pouring, for example. I'll be making some personal art, so if you want to see some more like complicated stuff, some oil painting, yeah, just some more complicated acrylic pieces, I'll just be doing that and chatting with people at the same time. It's a lot of fun, so please check me out on Twitch if you're curious. That's the pinned comment there, twitch.tv/erinbunpaints. If you're hoping to paint this another time, or maybe you want to see the video again, it will be left up. It'll be on Facebook and Twitch indefinitely until it's moved to YouTube, at which point it stays there forever. So I'd recommend checking out YouTube of all places, youtube.com/erinbunpaints, because that's where it eventually will end up. But otherwise, if you're itching to paint this in the next day or two, it'll be on Facebook and on Twitch. And the lavender one is still there too, I'm aware. I just haven't filmed an intro for it, so I'm a little late on that. But it's still available, so you can always catch up as well. If you'd like to post any photos, please do. I'm going to go navigate back to the Facebook event page to open that up for posting, so if you want to share any photos whenever you're done, you can. Please post in the group rather than the comments of this video, because the video will be deleted eventually, right? So it's best to post in the event. If you're on Twitch, thank you, Grok. I see you've put those links up. Thanks so much. You can go to Discord. I'd recommend that, and you can post in the Art Share channel. That's a good spot to be. This event, as all of my tutorials are, was completely free, so if you'd like to support me, I really appreciate it. I have a couple tip links if you'd like to interact, e-transfer, or use PayPal. That would be so amazing. Never expected, always appreciated. Thank you so much for those who continue to support me, for those who are continuing to enjoy my events for free. Thank you very much. Just trying to navigate here to open up this thing. Oh yes, only admins. There we go. And yeah, just I think that's my spiel. Sign your paintings. Yeah. Again, I'm just reading through some comments to make sure we're all good here. And the event page is open now for posting on Facebook if you're interested.